The client is buying you. It's the delivery and the presentation of your service that really sells yourself and sets yourself apart.
Hi, welcome to the Realtors Conspiracy Podcast. I'm here today with Greg Mallia, partner at Regency Law Group. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about your business and what you do, and we'll go about how you support realtors.
Excellent. So yes, we are a full service law firm in downtown Hamilton. I manage the real estate department, which does residential, commercial, and secured lending and real estate transactions. The firm is comprised of a number of lawyers in different practice areas, including litigation, corporate law, estate litigation, wills and estates, of course, real estate, insurance law, and personal injury. And our main focus is to serve the community at large by offering a high level of service to those that we act for, as well as our referral partners who need assistance and advice from time to time as well.
And then when you work with realtors to help them in their business or in their deals, what's your process with that?
Our relationship with realtors is an extremely open and positive one. How I like to work on a transaction, for example, with a realtor is have a discussion with them at the outset as to who the client is and what was the process that got them to where they are at that particular moment, just so that I have some background. I understand where the clients are coming from. Are they first-time home buyers and need more information? Are they seasoned buyers and don't really care for all of the detail? They just want the transaction done. That gives us a good barometer of how to set the stage for our interactions with the client as well. I generally lay out the process to the realtors in terms of what will happen once the file arrives at our office, which is pretty straightforward. We receive the file, we get in contact with the client, and then set out a process so that everyone is aware of what's going to happen from that point on to closing. And always just go back to the realtor for any information or any situation that might arise before closing for what we need and what we need to do to close.
Nice. What would you say is a benefit for realtors to partner up with a lawyer versus just using anyone or any other lawyer, or just to have that closer relationship, I would say?
I think it's important. It's like anything in this business. I think the idea is that as realtors and lawyers get accustomed to one another's businesses, accustomed to one another's personnel, you have an understanding of what's going to happen once you give your client over to the law firm. Generally, the law office can really make the realtor's life a lot easier after the realtor's done their portion of the job, which is getting the agreement signed and getting it ready for closing. And the reason being is if you are just dealing with a random office that you don't have a rapport with, you are more likely to get a lot of phone calls from your clients. You're more likely to get a lot of inquiries, emails, because there's a disconnect of information and no one's really kind of steering the process. The way we like to handle it is once the file comes in, we kind of quarterback everything. I want to know who the realtor is, who the lending specialist is, and who the insurance provider is, so that we can coordinate everything and keep everyone on the same page. That gives the realtors some confidence that when they're relaying clients to our firm, they know that we will treat the client as an extension of the realtor's business, which means if you've brought us this client, your reputation is on the line and you are making a recommendation based on your professional expertise. We understand that. We generally like to carry that throughout right to closing and just confirm with everyone once the deal is completed.
Mm-hmm. What would you give advice for a smooth closing, making sure like everything goes well from the realtor's perspective?
I think just generally from the realtor's perspective is knowing that all the information has been given to the law office as early as possible. And if something is not available or something is pending, just make everyone aware of that. It's a good idea to maybe follow up after the deal's been instructed, just to make sure that everything is at the office.
follow up with your client, always a good touch point there to follow up with your client and make sure they've received a call from us. And generally just keep the lines of communication open by being responsive to requests and that sort of thing.
Very cool. And you work with a lot of different realtors. What would you say are key traits of a successful realtor, in like a successful realtor that closes deals, I guess?
I think just having a responsive, being responsive, having an open line of communication. Those are, I keep harping on them because they are so vital in terms of making sure your clients feel comfortable. If they can get a hold of you and you can answer their questions, which oftentimes are pretty straightforward, you are really kind of ahead of the game in terms of the rest of the field. From our perspective, that's where we see the most success is how engaged are you with your client leading up to, during, and after closing, to make sure that they feel that you've done everything that you can do to make sure their deal is going to proceed smoothly.
Nice. And then from realtors you've worked with, what would you say would be like key relationships? So a bit having you in their team per se, who else is important to have in that team?
I think a lot of realtors benefit from having solid relationships with obviously mortgage brokers and lenders, inspectors. It's always good, in my opinion, to always have a general contractor at your disposal. And the reason for that is, I mean, yes, the other professionals that will manage the deal, that being the insurance broker, the lawyer, the mortgage specialist, we are all needed, obviously, to close those deals. But it's good to always have someone who can maybe do general repairs on properties just before closing, as things often do pop up, as well as having a good staging specialist to present the property, and even a landscaper. There are a lot of properties we drive by just walking, to and from the coffee shop or work, and you see properties outside, and if a fresh coat of paint or newly planted flowers really goes a long way for curb appeal. But that's their specialty and their expertise, and I'm just an observer on that regard.
Yeah, no, very cool. What advice would you give to a new realtor starting up and not really knowing how to grow their business?
I think for new realtors trying to grow their business, your best, I think, way to expose yourself is join an established team and learn how the process works from the bottom up. Once you get some referrals and once you get your feet wet in terms of understanding the process, having done a number of deals, then you might want to determine if that's a great fit for you, or if you want to branch out on your own and start your own outfit there.
Yeah, very cool. And as you work with multiple different realtors, what would you say are realtors that work well with you, or that you would want referrals from to work with? What type of realtors?
Yeah, really, it's just anyone who understands that we are in the service industry. I provide legal services. Realtors provide realty services in the terms of purchasing, selling. But you're really, as long as everyone understands that the client is buying you, they're buying a product, obviously, but it's the delivery and the presentation of your service that really sells yourself and sets yourself apart. That is, I think, a key aspect of the characteristics that we share with some of our referral partners, is really delivering a high level of service, which is accentuated by a high level of communication.
Nice, very cool. It really relates to all the follow up, follow through, and communication.
Really does. You just communication is the key to success, in my opinion.
Yeah. And what's exciting coming up in your business?
Our business is going through quite a wild ride right now, obviously, with we're in the middle of a pandemic, and that is, I think, driving a lot of people to rethink their living and residency needs. Mm-hmm. And what we see is a lot of investment into property. That poses a lot of new business for us, but a lot of questions that arise that you wouldn't normally get from both realtors and brokerages alike. So it is an interesting time.
What would you say would be most common questions that you have to answer most of the time, I guess?
A lot of questions well, at least the interesting ones surround what happens when someone breaches an agreement of purchase and sale and how that process is dealt with. In any type of situation where the market is, I wouldn't call it unstable, but where the public is unsure of where the market may be heading as we head into the later part of this year and early next, there's a lot of propensity for deals to fall through and a lot of questions we get surrounding what will happen in terms of an agreement of purchase and sale that's been firmed up, but where one of the parties can't close.
Yeah.
In those situations, we just tell the realtors, give us a call. Before we set out a plan to the client, let's talk about it between the two of us so that you understand what's going on, because inevitably you are going to get phone calls from your client asking, what is going to happen? What do I do? And it's nice for the realty office and the law office to really be on the same page and be on the same team in that regard, so that you're delivering the same message, which is clear and ultimately alleviates some of the client's stress in a breach situation.
Nice, very cool. And how do you keep up with innovating in your business as a partner in a firm, or what kind of education tools do you go through?
We really like to, really observe what is going on in the marketplace and meet and discuss with different partners, not just the law partners, but partners that we do business with, about how everyone can accentuate their business and what other people are doing. And we just really like to listen, discuss, strategize, think, and then implement what might be beneficial for us. And it's easy to do that when the world is constantly changing, because there's always information coming in and there's always a way to enhance your business. That's generally what we like to do here.
Nice, very cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing all this super awesome information. Where do we find you? What's your website or tags?
It was a pleasure. Thank you. RegencyLawGroup.ca is our website. You've got all of our lawyer profiles up there. You can email me directly. There'll be a form that allows you to send emails. You can call me directly. I generally have a practice where, during the day I'm working, and then after the daytime hours is when I return phone calls, clear emails, and gear up for the next day. So always available and always happy to field questions, calls, comments, anything like that.
Great. Thank you so much.